After Huo Yuhao ascended to the divine realm and enjoyed a period of time, he unfortunately encountered the turbulence of time and space. In a state of desperation, he abandoned himself and was swept away by the turbulence of time and space. He unexpectedly returned to the Douluo Continent, where he began to merge Puni as a martial soul. In this life, he only wanted to help Shrek's 7 monsters become gods, hoping to have the ability to protect Shrek Academy when the evil soul master attacked it, so as not to let Mu Lao die early. In this life, I won't let Tang Ye and Ma Xiaotao be caught as evil soul masters. In short, he will make up for the regrets in this life. Because I don't like the character Tang Wutong myself, there is no Tang Wutong in the setting, and Douluo CP fans should be cautious. The reason why I wrote this book is to make up for the regrets. Chapter 1. Cross-Time and Space Encounters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuhao. Come back quickly. Time and space turbulence is not something you can resist, you will die. Farewell everyone, when I come to the divine realm, I can only do these things for everyone. As Huo Yuhao spoke, he separated the 7 emotions he had inherited. The sorrowful Snow Emperor, the angry Ice Emperor, the happy octagonal Black Ice Grass, the happy Ice Bear King Xiaobai, the evil mermaid Princess Leia, the hateful evil Lord, and finally the loving Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm. Heavenly Dream Brother, Ice Emperor, Snow Emperor, everyone, take care, I'm leaving. Yuhao, you actually want to leave us to die, so you have to ask my Emperor if he agrees. The Snow Emperor still looked at him with a proud expression, and the anger in his eyes was obviously hard to hide. Long before he arrived, Huo Yuhao had already told them his plan. He promised them immortality by becoming a god, but he did not break his promise. Now that he wants to burn his divine soul, Huo Yuhao naturally will not bring them along. Now that you are all independent, there is no need to accompany me to death. Tianmeng, thank you. If it weren't for you back then, I might have died in the Star Forest. After Huo Yuhao finished speaking, he pushed them backwards, burning his divine soul and rushing towards the turbulent flow of time and space. Ice, I can't let Yuhao be alone, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm said as she looked at the Ice Emperor. Whatever you say, leave me alone. The Snow Emperor kicked the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm towards Huo Yuhao's direction, and then followed along with the Ice Emperor and Xiaobai. The other 3 souls have an average relationship with them, so the Snow Emperor did not demand them either. After all, the eternal life they had originally requested has now been achieved. When the chaos of time and space is sealed, only the remaining 3 souls and other gods remain. My head hurts so much, where is this? Huo Yuhao murmured with a hazy consciousness. He now felt as if he was being pressed down by something, unable to open his eyes, and his whole body was sore. You're awake. Who's talking? Huo Yuhao looked at an onion-like object floating in his spiritual sea, which seemed to be the one speaking earlier. I saw the onion spread out its body, and 6 golden whisker wings and an alternative black whisker wing grew from behind. Who are you, how did you appear here, and where is this? This is what you call the Sea of Spirit. Huo Yuhao looked at the onion in front of him and spoke, startled, and fell to the ground. Humph. Puni looked at Huo Yuhao's cowardly expression with disdain and lack of insight. Kid, listen up, my name is Puni, I come from another time and space. Another time and space? Huo Yuhao asked suspiciously. Not bad, I come from another time and space. There are many time and space in this universe, and I know you are also from another place. I have peeked into your memories, and it seems that you were originally from this world, but coincidentally encountered the turbulence of time and space. Time and space turbulence. I remember now, do you mean you have also suffered from time and space turbulence like me? Can we still go back? At present, it seems that you are not capable, but I can. So. But I don't intend to leave, Puni interrupted him slowly. Huo Yuhao, I'm very strange. There is something called a martial soul in your world, why haven't I felt what your martial soul is in you? Impossible. Huo Yuhao tried to drive his speech, but he found that his martial soul was gone, not at all. Alright, don't feel it anymore, Puni asked. How could this be? I'm just burning a divine soul, Huo Yuhao shook his head and said. Sure enough, as I thought, you must have experienced something that caused your martial soul to have problems. Let me tell you directly, I plan to merge as your martial soul. Why did you choose me? And what did you mean by saying you didn't plan to leave just now? I come from another time and space. I was originally flying in the universe, but suddenly a turbulence in time and space sucked me away. Under the influence of the turbulence, I couldn't help but come here. I could have left here, but I realized there was something I needed here, so I decided to stay. Puni said for a moment. Huo Yuhao, I don't hide anything from you either. I stayed for a purpose. Did you see the black-bearded wings behind me? His name is Sorensen, and like me, he is a Holy Spirit-type elf. He is my brother, but due to an accident, he was devoured by dark forces. I searched for pure, bright, and holy things in the endless universe to evolve him. Coming here, I discovered that there is something on this continent that can evolve him, and I must evolve him. But I don't belong to this world. If I want to stay here, I can only transform into the martial soul you mentioned here. I won't deceive you either. I want to transform into your martial soul, but the prerequisite is that you agree. I don't like to force others. If you're not willing, I can find another way. I am willing, Huo Yuhao interrupted him. You don't regret it. Puni was a bit surprised that Huo Yuhao agreed to him so readily. I don't regret it, I believe you. I can feel that you are a good person, otherwise you would have forcibly transformed into my martial soul while I was unconscious. Moreover, I don't know where to go now. Don't worry, I will definitely help you save Sorensen. At this point, Huo Yuhao has no other choice. Tianmeng and his companions were swept away together, and he must find them. Moreover, if he wants to leave here and return to the divine realm in the future, he also needs a reliable nun. Moreover, there is nothing he can do without a martial soul on the Douluo Continent. Let's start, but the process may be a bit painful. It's okay, I can do it. Huo Yuhao understood that the previous Lingmo martial soul and Ice Blue Scorpion martial soul should not be used unless they find Tianmeng Gu and others. This is also the Douluo Continent, and as long as there are martial souls who become soul masters, everything will have a chance. Immediately after, Puni began to transform into Huo Yuhao's martial soul, and the process of fusion was very long. Huo Yuhao could be said to have gone through a life of 9 deaths, but this pain was already relatively easier than when he fused the Ice Emperor's martial soul bones back then. At first, Puni thought Huo Yuhao might not be able to persevere, but he found that the boy's physical fitness was exceptionally good, as if he had been tempered. However, this satisfies Puni very much, and his future cultivation will also take 1,000 miles a day. After a long time, Huo Yuhao slowly opened his eyes and said, "Did you succeed?" Huo Yuhao is a bit unbelievable, but fortunately his physical fitness has also evolved since he became a god. Now his body can be said to be very good. Chapter 2. Senior Brother and Teacher Xiaoya. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huo Yuhao, I want to tell you that I know there is something similar to soul bones in the soul beasts here. I don't belong to this world, so I don't have soul bones to give you. And since you have fused me as a martial soul, you can't attach soul bones in the future. Soul bones. It's okay, I'm already satisfied that you can transform into my martial soul. As for soul bones themselves, they are extremely precious, and it's normal not to have them. Moreover, soul beasts only need to have soul bones for 100,000 years, which is already very good. Huo Yuhao doesn't care. You should know that he was just a person without a martial soul. Now that Puni is willing to voluntarily sacrifice himself as his martial soul, he is not grateful enough. But don't worry, after fusing me as a martial soul, it will only be beneficial and harmless to you in the future. But you still need to practice well. The higher your cultivation level, the more skills you can use. Okay, okay. Huo Yuhao respectfully pecked at the rice and nodded. Huo Yuhao woke up to find himself lying on the edge of the starry forest. After communicating with Puni, he realized that he had returned to the past. If that's the case, he can't go back to the divine realm at the moment. He needs to start over and make up for his past regrets. In his previous life, he wanted to help his mother seek revenge. Now that his mother has lived a peaceful life in the divine realm, there is no need for him in this life. So the first thing in this life is to help Puni find what he wants to resurrect Sorensen, and the second thing is to find Tianmeng and the others. After everything was planned, Huo Yuhao set off towards the starry forest and, as expected, met his senior brother and Xiaoya teacher, just like in his previous life. Teacher Xiaoya, senior brother. Huo Yuhao respectfully greeted the newcomer as soon as he saw them. For some reason, he suddenly saw a familiar face and his eyes couldn't help but moisten. This little brother, we don't know each other, why do you call us that? Beibei looked puzzled at Huo Yuhao in front of him. Originally, Huo Yuhao planned to slowly follow the plot of his previous life, but he realized that Tianmeng and his team couldn't wait. He wanted to quickly solve everything, including entering Tangmen in Shrek Academy. Senior brother, you are still as refined as ever. My name is Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao has always trusted Beibei very much since then, so he does not intend to hide his background from him and explain it to them clearly. Senior brother, look, this 24 bridges bright moon night was still the one you gave me back then. Huo Yuhao untied the 24 bridges from his waist and handed them to Beibei. Beibei compared his current one to the next. This is exactly the same. Beibei has now believed what Huo Yuhao said. Although everyone can imitate the 24th bridge on the moonlit night, he marked this one at the beginning. You are really my junior brother. Beibei hugged Huo Yuhao tightly, not expecting such a fate. Yes, senior brother, I'm back. Teacher Xiaoya, let's go. I know you came to the Star Forest to hunt soul beasts and become your third soul ring. I'll help you hunt them. Even their purpose for coming to the Star Forest was known, and even Xiaoya believed it. The three of them took a break and set off towards the Star Forest. Although he has no spiritual eyes in his life, Huo Yuhao still grilled delicious fish. Don't forget that his master in the divine realm is the ice and fire magic kitchen Rongnian ice. The three of them strolled all the way to the place where Huo Yuhao was attacked by the wind baboon. They had originally planned to see Tianmeng, but they didn't. It seems we need to hurry up and find Tianmeng and the others. Xiao Yuhao, what are you whispering about? Tanya playfully asked Huo Yuhao. Ah. It's nothing, Teacher Xiaoya. Let's go quickly. There will be the soul beast you want ahead, and if nothing unexpected happens, it will be the Millennium Mandala snake. Okay. I'll take it. As expected, Huo Yuhao guessed it right. Through what just happened, now Beibei and his team have 100% faith in Huo Yuhao's identity. Huo Yuhao did not do it himself, but chose to assist Beibei. After all, he had just merged with the pony martial soul and did not know any abilities. Originally, Huo Yuhao wanted to do it himself, but he remembered that practical combat was the best time to exercise. He couldn't help them all the time, otherwise what would he do in the future? When Beibei launched his soul technique to attack the mandala snake, the second soul ring on Huo Yuhao's body lit up. Blue. Blue. Tanya did not join the battle. She watched with her own eyes as Huo Yuhao's soul ring lit up, and it turned out to be blue. It was the first time she had seen it. Immediately after, a lightning bolt rushed towards Beibei from Huo Yuhao, and then a dragon's roar was heard. As expected, Beibei quickly resolved the battle, and Tanya didn't rush to inquire. She sat down to absorb the soul ring first. Junior brother, what soul skill are you? It can actually increase the lightning power in my martial soul. Senior brother, this is my second soul skill, Elemental. As the name suggests, my second soul skill is related to Elemental. What I just increased was your Thunderbolt Elemental power. Well, that's amazing, junior brother. Your increase is even more impressive than the first auxiliary weapon in the mainland, Martial Soul. Just now, it increased by at least 40%. Ah. Senior brother, you flattered me. This is only useful for elements. What Huo Yuhao didn't actually say is that if he has enough cultivation, he can briefly increase the power of elements to the extreme level. He didn't expect Puni to be so strong. Puni had previously introduced him to the abilities corresponding to his 7 seals, but he didn't expect each one to go against the sky. No wonder he dared to say that if he had dominated the universe for hundreds of thousands of years, even Tang's San ancestor wouldn't be able to defeat him. With this second seal alone, he can control the power of all elements in the world, which is already invincible. After Tangya finished absorbing it, the 3 of them immediately left the starry forest. Tangya made Huo Yuhao laugh with a look of wanting to ask but feeling embarrassed to ask. Oh, Teacher Xiaoya, just ask whatever you want. You don't look like the teacher Xiaoya I know. Hee, you've discovered Huo Yuhao. Tangya felt embarrassed and stuck out her tongue. Teacher Xiaoya, I know you want to ask if my soul ring color is correct. Tangya nodded hard, she was really curious. This is the first time she has seen a blue soul ring, which is even more beautiful than her blue silver grass. There is always a very holy atmosphere inside. Color. Yuhao. What's wrong with the color of your soul ring? Bebe looked bewildered. Just now, he was busy dealing with the mandala snake and didn't look over here, so naturally he didn't notice. Bebe, let me tell you, you didn't even know that I was completely shocked just now. The color of Huo Yuhao's second soul ring is blue. What? Blue. How could there be such a soul ring? Chapter 3. Being outstanding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huo Yuhao didn't believe Bebe, so he immediately displayed his first and second soul rings. He saw 2 soul rings floating, one yellow and one blue. It was Bebe's turn to be shocked. You should know that currently, the only known soul ring colors in the Soul Master world are white representing 10 years, yellow representing 100 years, purple representing 1,000 years, black representing 10,000 years, and red representing 100,000 years. Unexpectedly, there is also blue. Huo Yuhao put away his soul ring and looked at Bebe and Teacher Xiaoya helplessly, saying, Senior brother, Teacher Xiaoya, let's talk while we walk. Aha. Junior brother, what is your martial soul, and how could your soul ring be blue? Bebero was so serious that he couldn't suppress his curiosity. Senior brother, my martial soul is the Holy Spirit type elf Puni. The reason why my soul ring is blue is because it is the soul ring brought by the martial soul itself. But senior brother, rest assured that I am not a soul beast that has been restored for 100,000 years. Huo Yuhao was worried that Bebe and the others might misunderstand and quickly explained that as we all know, only soul beasts over 100,000 years old have the opportunity to be repaired, and during the repair process, the first 6 soul rings automatically merge without hunting soul beasts. Huo Yuhao, of course we believe you, but your martial soul is really strange. It's the first time I've heard of it. Yes, junior apprentice. Your martial soul should be unique to Douluo Continent. It's really amazing. You can automatically merge soul rings and have such a powerful amplification ability, which can at least rival divine-level martial souls. No, senior brother. The downside of my martial soul is that it can only hold 7 soul rings like the 7 treasures glass pagoda. It seems that I have no hope of being titled Douluo in this lifetime. Junior brother, you can't say that. If you're so strong with just a second soul ring, then the 3rd and 4th will be even more impressive in the future. That's right, Huo Yuhao. Our sect leader has decided that from now on, you will be the chief elder of our Tang sect. Ah. Teacher Xiaoya, isn't that good? In fact, the word chief in Huo Yuhao's heart is more in favor of Beibei. As the founding disciple, only he is the most suitable, let alone whose sect elder is a two-ring soul master. There's nothing wrong with it. Beibei is the chief disciple, and you are the chief elder. In the future, the revival of the sect will depend on you too. Of course, the safety of the sect also depends on you, Huo Yuhao. Good Xiaoya teacher, I will definitely work hard to protect the sect. The three of them set off all the way towards Shrek College. Currently, Huo Yuhao only has 2 levels of cultivation. After discussing, the three of them decided to enter the college to study. Therefore, this year's Tangmen special enrollment quota was still given to Huo Yuhao. This way, entering the college directly saves time and is also convenient for future affairs. After completing a series of procedures, Huo Yuhao was still assigned to the freshman class, with Zhou Yi as the homeroom teacher. When he arrived at the dormitory downstairs and saw the first strong dragon god Douluo Mun of Shrek College still lying there, Huo Yuhao greeted him like in his previous life, suppressing the waves in his heart. There was no one else in the dormitory, only him, which made it convenient for him to practice and do things. He continued to attend classes during the day, although he had learned these things in his previous life. However, Huo Yuhao Haishan was very happy to listen to teacher Zhou's lectures again. Returning to the dormitory to rest at night, he has not yet entered the soul guidance system and has plenty of time. He has devoted enough energy to cultivation, and with the power of Puni's martial soul, he has now surpassed level 30. It has to be said that Puni is really strong, forgetting his previous cultivation system and focusing on the cultivation system taught by Puni. This cultivation is like 1,000 miles in a day. The new student assessment is coming soon, and now Huo Yuhao has the highest level of soul power among this class of students, and he has not let down Zhou Yi's expectations by becoming a class monitor. Originally, the freshman assessment required 3 people to form a team to fight against each other, but Huo Yuhao was not afraid of tigers when he was young. He shamelessly went to see teacher Zhou and said that he only wanted 2 people to form a team, which made Zhou Yi angry, but who let her spoil him. Zhou Yi went to the academic director with a particularly strong voice to talk about this matter, but unexpectedly, it was approved. Huo Yuhao, it was you who said they were paired. If you don't win the championship in the freshman assessment, how can I deal with you? Teacher Zhou, don't worry, we will definitely win back the championship. How can Zhou Yi rest assured? You know, in the whole grade, only the 2 of them are in a team of 2, and it's hard to say if they can withstand 3 rounds, these 2 brats. Class monitor, can the 2 of us really win the championship in the freshman assessment? After leaving the office, Xiao weakly asked Huo Yuhao how happy she was when Huo Yuhao came to look for her and hoped to form a team together. After all, Huo Yuhao is now outstanding in the whole first grade, but when she heard that she only hoped for the 2 of them, she almost fainted and the class monitor was too crazy. Xiao, you have to believe in yourself. The unique advantage of your twin martial souls is that one assists and one controls, and now that I have broken through the 3rd ring, you will know my abilities. Don't worry, we will win. What else can we do? We have already discussed it in front of teacher Zhou, and we can only grit our teeth. Huo Yuhao has already made up his mind to immediately win the championship in the freshman assessment, quickly improve his cultivation, and after this semester's vacation, he will go to the far north. Tianmeng and his team all come from there, perhaps we can find them. After taking leave, Tangmen can also start construction. In this life, there is no need to wait for teacher Xiaoya to disappear before starting construction like in the previous life. With these thoughts in mind, Huo Yuhao is full of energy and his cultivation speed is getting faster and faster. The freshman assessment began quickly, and Huo Yuhao and Xiao passed the test all the way. With the experience of the previous life, Huo Yuhao and Xiao cooperated seamlessly throughout their lives, even breaking through their opponents without using their 3rd soul skill, becoming the team with the highest demand for freshman assessment. Especially for Soul Master teams with a focus on weapons and martial souls, they are scared when they see Huo Yuhao for no other reason. Huo Yuhao's second soul skill can strip away the metal elements in their weapons and martial souls, causing them to fight with a pile of scrap metal during assessments. How can they win? Huo Yuhao's ability also attracted Dean Yan Xiaoya and Elder Xian to come and watch, especially Yan Xiaoya. Seeing Huo Yuhao's appearance, his eyes lit up and his face was determined to win. He now had the idea of allowing Huo Yuhao to enter the inner courtyard, only missing one chance. Therefore, after several small assessments in the outer courtyard, Du Weiluan thought he had done something wrong. Another person who came was Xian Lao. He couldn't help but feel strange when Wang Yan talked about Huo Yuhao's situation, but he didn't notice anything unusual after several attempts. He also felt embarrassed to ask with his old face, otherwise it would be embarrassing. Chapter 4. Energy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh, Teacher Zhou, these two team members in your class are really amazing. Hibiscus, the students in our class are naturally impressive, and I don't have to say anything about them. Zhou Yi didn't bother to pay attention to her and gave her a blank eye. You. Teacher Zhou, no matter how powerful they are, it's still impossible to encounter our class's seed team. Oh. Where did Teacher Mu gain confidence? Don't let the 3 seeded players in your class lose to the 2 in our class. Lose. Ha ha ha, Teacher Zhou, you're too arrogant. Should we take a gamble to see who will win? Okay, how do you bet? In the end, just like in the previous life, the 2 of them used a soul bone as a bet. Dean Yan, Xian Lao. Even if the 2 of them argued, they would still shut up when they saw Yan Xiaoya and Xian Lao coming. Xiaoya, who will win today? Xian Lao said vaguely as he nibbled on his chicken leg. After bowing, Yan Xiaoya said, I think Teacher Mu and his class will win today. Although I still have a good outlook on Huo Yuhao, the opponent he will face today is also relatively strong in the entire new student team, let alone they only have 2 people. Really? Let's wait and see. After taking a sip of wine, Xian Lao watched the battle between the 2 sides on the field, and they had already started the game. Strange, I have lived for 100 years and it's the first time I've seen such a martial soul. It's really interesting. Xian Lao, it is said that Huo Yuhao's martial soul is a type of elf-type martial soul named Puni. I have searched for information in the inner courtyard library and found no such martial soul. Well, on the Douluo Continent, anything can become a martial soul, and it's normal for us not to know. Yes. On the competition field, today Huo Yuhao and his team are playing against Class 9, which is the team of Teacher Mu's class. Xiao, just help me restrain Nanmen Yuner, and leave the other 2 to me. Don't worry, leave it to me. Xiao now trusts Huo Yuhao more and more. With Huo Yuhao's help, her cultivation speed is also getting faster and faster. She has now reached level 29, and it won't be long before she can break through. Huo Yuhao continued to use the second soul skill element without hesitation. As expected, after being possessed by the witch wind fire dragon, Huo Yuhao immediately used the second soul skill to strip away the fire element from her martial soul. Damn it, what did you do to me? Before the competition, Wu Feng specifically inquired about Huo Yuhao's ability to strip metal elements. Unexpectedly, he could also strip fire elements. Is there any need for comparison? Unable to use martial souls, Wu Feng would go to the ground bare-handed, and she wouldn't believe it. She would lose to him. Ning Tian naturally realized that he couldn't increase the level of Wu Feng, and could only comprehensively increase the level of Nanmen Yuner. He hoped that she would make a quick decision. As Xiao was about to resist the attack of Nanmen Yuner, in a critical moment, the 3rd soul ring on Huo Yuhao's body lit up. This was the first time Huo Yuhao had used the 3rd soul skill on the field. What everyone saw was just an ordinary purple millennium soul ring, but in reality, it was formed by the energy seal of Puni. Back then, there were very few who could withstand the energy seal. In order not to become an experimental subject, Huo Yuhao, with the help of Puni, changed the color of his soul rings to the optimal ratio, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Immediately after, an orange light enveloped Ning Tian's body. In the next second, Ning Tian fell to the ground and couldn't stand up. On the other side, Nanmen Yun'er felt the amplification on her body disappear, and was immediately defeated by the attack of Xiao Sanqing's soul-suppressing cauldron. You lost, Huo Yuhao said calmly as he looked at Wu Feng. Huo Yuhao, wait for me. Wu Feng finished speaking and helped Ning Tian and Nanmen Yun'er leave the arena. Xiaoya, what do you see in Huo Yuhao's second and third soul skills? Xian Lao asked Zhou Yi, who had already asked him 5 times. He couldn't help but finally spoke up. Xian Lao, Huo Yuhao once told me that his second soul skill can control all elements, and at the same level, he occupies absolute control, which can increase his own side and strip the enemy's elements. If his level is higher than him, even if he cannot strip it, it can weaken the opponent's element power. As for the third soul skill, I also saw him use it for the first time, so I am not aware of its function. Well, his second soul skill alone is already very impressive. As for the third soul skill. Just, Xiaoya, come with me. Yes. After this battle, Huo Yuhao and his team's call has reached a higher level, and many students have even placed bets on the champion team on them. After the competition, Huo Yuhao and Xiao agreed to go to the Soul Guidance Department after dinner time in the evening. Now Huo Yuhao will come to the Soul Guidance system whenever he has time. His second soul skill is very useful here. Rare metals are too precious, and he always peels off the elemental power inside. When the core array is carved, he injects the elemental power again. Even if he doesn't have lingual martial soul in this life, with the experience and accumulation of his previous life, he can easily do these things. He also has some valuable soul guidance drawings that he can draw for Teacher Fanyu when he has time. The development of the soul guidance system is at its peak now. Don't forget, Huo Yuhao reached the level of a level 10 soul guide in his previous life, which was very simple for him. The most scarce thing now is rare metal. Otherwise, with his current pony protection, he could have managed to make a level 9 soul guide. However, Huo Yuhao is not in a hurry. There is still time, and the Sun and Moon Empire is still accumulating strength. They can also start accumulating strength from now on. He went to the Soul Guidance Department now to send the blueprint. As soon as he entered, Hikaitu came over with a smile and hugged him. Yuhao, Teacher Fanyu is waiting for you inside. Okay, with senior brother. In his previous life, Huo Yuhao was actually trained as an extreme individual. He always felt a bit sorry for his senior brother, so in this life, he will do his best to cultivate him into an extreme individual with his senior brother. Hikaitu really likes this little junior brother. He has already surpassed level 30 to become a soul master in first grade, and recently officially became a level 3 soul master. He is certain that if his cultivation is enough, he will soon become a level 4 soul master. It seems that he needs to work hard and not fall too far behind the little junior brother. Teacher Fanyu, I'm here. Ha, Yuhao, you're here. This is Dean Qian Duo. I've heard about your talent and contributions to our Soul Guidance Department for a long time. I came here to see you. Fanyu smiled and introduced both sides, but couldn't help but be too happy. Huo Yuhao always surprises him every time he comes. Hello Dean Qian. Okay, you're Huo Yuhao, not bad, not bad. Dean Qian, you're welcome. Teacher Fanyu, this is the latest blueprint I have drawn. Please take a look. Is this a 9th level soul guide blueprint? Chapter 5. Talented Players. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Seeing so many densely packed core arrays, no matter how clumsy you are, you can tell that this is a level 9 soul guide. Yes, Dean Qian. This is a level 9 soul guide that I designed based on the hidden weapons of our Tang sect. I named it, Blood Feather. Yuhao, most of the drawings you gave us before were level 6 or 7 soul guide drawings. Why did you directly bring out level 9 soul guide drawings this time? Fan Yu is puzzled, isn't this span too big? You should know that nowadays there is only one fixed soul-guided shell in the academy that can barely exert the power of level 9, but in reality, there is none of the level 9 soul-guided shells. Teacher Fan Yu, with the development of soul guides, the power of soul guides is no longer absolute. We Shrek Academy always need our own level 9 soul guides. Fan Yu looked at Qian Duo, and both of them could see approval in each other's eyes. Unexpectedly, a teenager could see it so clearly. Okay, that's right, but Yuhao, no one in our college has ever made a level 9 soul guide, which may be a bit difficult. Dean Qian is naturally tempted, but if the production of this soul guide fails, it would be a huge loss. It's okay, Dean Qian. When I designed it, I tried to simplify it as much as possible. Our college can currently provide all the rare metals that can be used. You, Teacher Fan Yu, and Dean Xian can definitely do it, but I may need to participate in making the core array. Of course it's possible. It's necessary. Yuhao, how long is your brain? You can think of such complex things. You should know that the 9th level soul guide blueprint is no less valuable than a soul bone. Why was Huo Yuhao able to provide so many valuable soul guide drawings in a short period of time? Fan Yu and his team naturally had doubts, but they did not ask, and Huo Yuhao did not explain. They only knew that Huo Yuhao would not be detrimental to the college. Dean Qian, Teacher Fan Yu, I'll leave first. Okay, take your time, Yuhao. Fan Yu's face twitched, I didn't expect you to be like Dean Qian. Huo Yuhao's life can be said to be very free-spirited. He can now be said to be the first person in Douluo in terms of soul guidance knowledge, and he also knows about martial soul knowledge. Therefore, his most important task at present is to improve his cultivation, followed by various things. Studying in the college now looks quite easy for him, but in this life, he has to consider more things. Huo Yuhao went back to the dormitory to practice for a while before having dinner with Xiao and the others, including Beibei and Tangya. Senior brother, let me introduce you to teacher Xiaoya. This is Xiao, who is also my teammate for this new student assessment. Xiao, this is my senior brother Beibei and our Tang sect leader Tangya. Hello, elementary school girl. Tangya still looked familiar and immediately rushed over from Beibei to find Xiao. Hello senior, are you referring to the Tang clan founded by the 3 ancestors of Tang? Yeah, how's it going? Do you want to join? In fact, Huo Yuhao had already told them before that he wanted to include Xiao in the Tang clan. After all, this is a rare twin martial soul in 100 years. Unexpectedly, he asked before mentioning Xiao. Sure, I don't have any sex anyway. After joining, can I also learn Tangmen martial arts? Xiao was extremely envious of the techniques used by Huo Yuhao during the assessment. You should know that she has learned more life-saving skills, and she is only an auxiliary control soul master with poor self-protection ability. Of course you can. Okay, then I'll join. So, tonight's simple gathering became Xiao Zhao's introductory banquet. Yuhao, after the new student's assessment, the classes will be on vacation soon. Do you have any plans? Beibei knows that Huo Yuhao currently has no family and also knows that he comes from the future. He wants to know how he plans to spend his vacation, whether to stay at the college or what. Senior brother, I was just about to talk to you about this matter. During your vacation, find a way to build a piece of land in Shrek City, the larger the area, the better, and wait for me to come back. Junior brother, are you thinking? Yes, senior brother. Let's start the revitalization of Tangmen from the holiday. I will come back early. Where are you going on vacation? Will there be any danger? Compared to the revitalization of Tang men, Beibei still cares more about Huo Yuhao. I'm going to the far north. The land of the far north. Class monitor, you're crazy, that's a human-restricted area. Xiao and Tangya also heard about Huo Yuhao's plan, but they didn't expect him to go to the far north. No, Yuhao, I disagree. Beibei didn't expect that he was really brave, even if he had great abilities. Senior brother, you know my temper. If I want to go, no one can stop me. Hey. All right. There's nothing I can do about you, so be careful with your safety. Beibei couldn't do anything about him, thinking that since Yuhao had already experienced it once, there shouldn't be too many problems this time. Xiao Yuhao, you should pay attention to your safety. Tangya was also very worried about Huo Yuhao. Unexpectedly, in the end, it was Xiao Yuhao who paid the most for the sect. She was of no use as the sect leader. Don't worry, teacher Xiaoya, just find the ground with senior brother. After eating and drinking enough, the four of them went back to their respective dormitories. Huo Yuhao returned to his dormitories and began practicing again. Recently, his cultivation has been improving more and more quickly, and practical combat has made his soul power level more stable. Xuanzi, Xiaoya, what do you think of that person named Huo Yuhao? The speaker was the first dragon god Douluo from Shrek Academy today. He lay outside the dormitory every day, and the changes in Huo Yuhao over the past 3 months also attracted him. This child's soul power seemed to improve too quickly, and he never saw when he left the academy to absorb the third soul ring. Mu Lao, Xiaoya and I went to watch his game today. He just released 2 soul skills easily and the opponent lost. In my opinion, he may not be easy. Even though Xuanzi may make a name for himself in the academy, he still shows great respect towards Mu Lao and dare not show any disrespect. Yes, teacher. The second soul skill released by Huo Yuhao in today's competition seems to be able to control metal and fire elements, but from my observation, he may be able to control more than just these elemental powers. You should know how happy a soul master would be if his martial soul could have dual attributes, not to mention how much he can control with just a second soul ring. And his third soul skill, as I observed today, should be able to absorb the opponent's soul master's spiritual and soul power and then convert it into his own use. In fact, what Yan Xiaoya didn't know was that this third soul skill is really powerful, otherwise it wouldn't be worthy of the energy seal that Puni can only cultivate for 100 years. Don't forget that the soul ring that Puni brought to Huo Yuhao can provide 2 soul skills. It's not just that, just keep observing. Yes, Mu Lao. Chapter 6. Pony's Ultimate Move. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Originally, Xian Lao and Yan Xiaoya thought they could observe Huo Yuhao's third soul skill well in the next few games, but they didn't expect that Huo Yuhao had only used his third soul skill once before and it would be useless. This made the 2 old guys extremely anxious and embarrassed to ask, so they had to act hastily. The assessment has finally entered a white-hot stage, and the teams of Huo Yuhao and Dai Huabin are about to compete for the final championship. Huo Yuhao didn't expect to meet Dai Huabin again, but now he thinks about his mother being with his father in the divine realm. He doesn't have any hatred towards him in his life anymore. All he thinks about is the championship of the new student assessment. As expected, Dai Huabin remained the same as before. Upon hearing everyone's call for Huo Yuhao on the competition field, he couldn't help but maintain his expression. However, Huo Yuhao didn't care, as the champions could only be him and Xiao Zhao's. Are you Huo Yuhao? You are very strong, but the champion can only be ours, Dai Huabin challenged. You are still so arrogant, Dai Huabin. Don't forget, your soul power level is not as good as mine. Even if there are 3 of you, you will still lose. In this life, Huo Yuhao is no longer just able to swallow his anger like in the previous life. He also needs to learn to fight back. Speaking of this, Dai Huabin was infuriated. Originally, He had the highest level of soul power when he first entered the college, but later he heard that there was a class member named Huo Yuhao whose soul power had skyrocketed to level 30 in just 3 months. How could he bear it? Stop talking nonsense. Today I want you to know who is the strongest among the freshmen. The competition started quickly. Today, Yan Xiaoya and Xian Lao Lao arrived early, and the teachers next to them were already familiar with it. I don't know how these two college leaders have been running so diligently towards the assessment area these days, even earlier than some of their teachers. Xiaoya, let's make a bet and see who will win today. Yan Xiaoya is really afraid of Xian Lao. These days, whenever Huo Yuhao's team has a competition, he has to gamble with himself. He has already lost a lot of golden soul coins. Xian Lao, I think Dai Huabin's team will win today. Take a look, no wonder people like to bet with you. I didn't have much confidence in Huo Yuhao winning from the beginning, but only in his soul skill ability. No wonder I kept losing. Okay, then I'll bet that Huo Yuhao's team will win. In life, playing is just an excitement. If we both bet on one, it won't be interesting. Xian Lao is not afraid now. He bought chicken legs from the golden soul coin he bet on Yan Xiaoya before, and there is still a lot left. If he loses, he will not lose. Moreover, he may not necessarily lose. Yan Xiaoya had heard of Xuanlao's playfulness in his early years, but now it has aroused his youthful thoughts. The competition proceeded quickly, and the team in this final did not have any elemental soul masters or artifact soul masters. Dai Huabin, Zhu Lu, and Chuiji were all beast martial souls, so there was naturally no place for Huo Yuhao's second soul skill to be used, and he could only engage in consumption battles with the opponent. Xian Lao, I'm afraid I'll win this time. Yan Xiaoya understood how difficult this game would be for Huo Yuhao, so he made an early decision. How did you see that? Dai Huabin and the other 3 are all beast martial souls, so Huo Yuhao's second soul skill cannot be used. He can only rely on the first and third soul skills to consume them. Moreover, the White Tiger and Zhu families of the Star Luo Empire will have martial soul fusion skills for generations. If I had to look at it, Huo Yuhao might have lost this time. Xiaoyi, what do you think? Xian Lao didn't answer Yan Xiaoya, but directly asked Zhou Yi. Xian Lao, I believe Yu Hao and his team will definitely win the championship. Have you heard Xiaoya? You are still too anxious. It's not until the end, who knows who. After saying these words, Xian Lao didn't continue because he had already discovered Huo Yuhao's interesting third soul skill. Originally, Xiao Zhao's soul power was almost exhausted, but they found that Huo Yuhao's third soul ring was lit up. Immediately after, Chuiji's feet softened and he fell down, while Xiao Xiao on the other side seemed to be revived with blood. That's right, this is Huo Yuhao's third soul skill, which absorbs the opponent's soul power to supply his teammates. The game finally saw a counterattack, no longer a war of attrition, and Yan Xiaoya's face also changed. Damn it, Huo Yuhao, what have you done to Chuiji? Huabin, let's not wait anymore, let's start. Zhu Lu also discovered the eerie aspect of Huo Yuhao's soul skill, and didn't want to be taken away by Huo Yuhao's soul power later. Dai Huabin understood Zhu Lu's meaning, and the two immediately ran towards each other. Now that both of them had consumed a lot of soul power just now, they couldn't lose their chains at this time. They must fight quickly and make a quick decision. Can't you finally resist it? Huo Yuhao thought to himself that with the experience of his previous life, he knew that this was a precursor for them to unleash the ghost white tiger. Xiao Xiao, I need 5 seconds. Leave it to me, class monitor. Xiao Xiao knew that Huo Yuhao had a great move that required time to accumulate strength, so he immediately summoned both martial souls. Thanks to Huo Yuhao, who had previously given her control over 2 martial souls at the same time, it came in handy now. The 3 live souls suppressing Ding and the 9 Phoenix Lai Yi Xiao were released at the same time. The ghost white tiger is activated, with a power that has surpassed that of the third ring's soul lord. Even Xiao and his two martial souls are a bit unbearable, but in 5 seconds, she can do it. Everyone thought Huo Yuhao and his team were determined to lose, but is it possible? On the competition field, it was seen that the 3 soul rings of Huo Yuhao, who were behind Xiao, fused together to form a black eternal soul ring. In fact, these were all illusions. The fusion ring was just used by Huo Yuhao to deceive the audience. He now practices every night and has learned Puni's famous move. Holy Spirit and Magic Flash. In fact, he was very happy to merge Puni as a martial soul. Apart from the 7 heavenly seals, Puni also has many great moves. Even if the twin martial souls gather all the soul rings and bones, they cannot compare. This is the terrifying aspect of the Holy Spirit Elf King Puni. This time he is going to release the newly learned Holy Spirit Magic Flash. Puni once said that this great move can be used in any situation. If he can practice it until the 7th soul ring is used in the future, the power will be immeasurable. The White Tiger of the Underworld. Holy Spirit Demon shines. Both sides launch together, preparing to end this game. Not good. Yan Xiaoya had already activated the Eternal Soul Ring formed by Huo Yuhao's fusion ring. Just as the two forces were about to collide, a figure appeared in the middle. The 7th soul skill, Phoenix True Body. Not bad, resisting the attack is Dean Yan Xiaoya who flew out of the stands just now. It is reasonable to use his martial soul true body to resist. Bang! After a while, the field finally regained calmness. All the teachers and students stretched their necks to watch the competition, except for Mr. Xian sitting there still eating his chicken legs without moving, and the outcome of the competition was already decided. Chapter 7. Huo Yuhao causes trouble. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How about it? Can you see clearly who won? I don't know, both sides are still standing on stage. Is that the martial soul bright phoenix of Dean Yen just now? It's truly a 95-level super Douluo. The students in the stands were chattering incessantly, and the teachers were anxiously waiting to announce the results. There was no other way, and not everyone had the cultivation of Xian Lao that could be seen clearly. Besides, no one dared to ask here except Zhou Yi, but there was no intention of asking Zhou Yi's appearance. I announced that the Huo Yuhao team has won. Everyone heard Dean Yan's voice and fell silent for a moment, then the whole audience cheered. Dean Yan, why did they win? We are using the martial soul fusion technique. Zhu Lu was furious when she heard this announcement and immediately asked. Not bad, the martial soul fusion agent, Yuming White Tiger, you used is indeed very strong, even reaching the power of the 4th ring soul sect. However, you only need its power for 1,000 years, and the skill that Huo Yuhao just used to merge the rings has reached the level of 10,000 years. If I hadn't stopped it, I'm afraid you might have died or been injured. Upon hearing this sentence, Zhu Lu was instantly stunned. 10,000 years, how could it be 10,000 years? Dai Huabin was naturally stunned. How could this be, how could he? Huo Yuhao, your move is very powerful. Can you tell me your name? Report to the dean, my move is called Holy Spirit Demon Flash. Holy Spirit Demon shines, great. Yan Xiaoya repeated again, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood, which surprised the teacher and students. You should know that Yan Xiaoya, as the dean, has already reached level 95 Super Douluo in cultivation. Just now, when using the Phoenix True Body to resist, it is impossible to be injured. Dean Yan, are you okay? Yan Xiaoya's coughing of blood startled Huo Yuhao. Did he hit hard? I'm fine, he said and left. After this battle, Huo Yuhao became famous in the outer courtyard. The reason was due to him. Everyone was discussing that Huo Yuhao had injured Dean Yan, which led to Huo Yuhao not daring to run around now and only daring to wait until the next day's award ceremony and division ceremony before daring to go out. On the day of the award ceremony, everyone was present. Unlike in the previous life, the person who presented the award this time was not Yen Xiaoya, but Vice Dean Kai Meyer. Seeing this, everyone speculated that it was because Huo Yuhao was injured too seriously yesterday that Dean Kai Meyer came. Like in their previous lives, they won the first place and obtained a soul bone, but still stayed in the first class to continue teaching them by Zhou Yi. The only difference is that this time, the core disciple of the Martial Soul series also finally had Huo Yuhao. When everything was done and about to be disbanded, Kai Meyer gave Huo Yuhao a deep glance, but didn't say much before returning to the inner courtyard. On the way back, Zhou Yi called Huo Yuhao and the others to the office and gave them the soul bone he had bet on with Hibiscus. Alright, now there are 2 soul bones. You 2 little ones, go back and distribute them yourselves. Thank you, Teacher Zhou. Is Dean Yen okay? Huo Yuhao was still very concerned about Yen Shaotsidi. Actually, he wasn't that worried at first, but now it's getting more and more mysterious outside. What is it about Huo Yuhao hitting Dean Yen so hard that he can't stop bleeding and is still unconscious? He naturally wants to ask. Don't worry, it's okay. He's a super Douluo, how could there be anything wrong? Upon hearing these words, Huo Yuhao and Xiao Xiao finally calmed down. Fortunately, they didn't cause any trouble. After Huo Yuhao and the others came out, they allocated the soul bones. However, Huo Yuhao still took the secret soul bone. He cannot absorb the soul bone, which does not mean that others cannot. The 2 of them went back to the dormitory to practice for a while, and then set off for tonight's gathering. This was also proposed by Tangya to celebrate their achievements. Xiao Yuhao, what's wrong with you? I heard you disabled Dean Yen. Now it's spreading throughout the entire outer courtyard. Ah. Huo Yuhao couldn't help but smile bitterly. I didn't expect this version to be available. Yes, junior brother. You are currently rated as the first person in the outer courtyard by everyone. Everyone hopes that I can have time to compete with you. Bibes joked while eating grilled fish. Senior brother, you're mocking me again. How dare I compete with you? Huo Yuhao didn't expect this matter to have developed to this extent, it was too scary. Ha ha ha, junior brother, don't be humble. Your cultivation is almost catching up with mine now. It's really a waste of talent for you to be in first grade. A few people were joking while eating, but Tangya was a bit careless. Huo Yuhao naturally knew that his cultivation had surpassed that of Xiaoya's teacher, so she would easily overthink. However, starting over again, how could he possibly repeat the same mistake? After finishing his meal, Huo Yuhao did not go back to practice as usual, but instead came alone to Haishan Lake to enjoy the breeze. Just as Huo Yuhao was about to close his eyes in a hazy way, a distant flame suddenly flew towards him, which frightened him and immediately avoided him. Huo Yuhao took a closer look and realized that it was his acquaintance Ma Xiaotao from the previous life. He didn't expect this fate to be unstoppable. Are you Huo Yuhao? Ma Xiaotao remained the proud Ma Xiaotao. I am Huo Yuhao, I don't know why my senior sister suddenly attacked me. Huo Yuhao naturally wouldn't mind her sudden attack, otherwise how could she deserve the title of Flame Demon? You are the person who slandered the dean. Let me see how capable you are. Ma Xiaotao immediately launched an attack as she spoke, proud as Ma Xiaotao. As the legitimate disciple of Yen Xiaoya, she couldn't even harm Yen Xiaoya at the moment. Unexpectedly, she was succeeded by a disciple from the outer courtyard. How could she bear it? It turned out that this was a challenge, it was interesting, and Huo Yuhao quickly used his soul skills. But now their soul power levels differ too much, and Huo Yuhao's second soul skill element can only weaken the power of the phoenix flame, and cannot strip away the fire element inside. At the moment of crisis, Ma Xiaotao saw a huge phantom behind Huo Yuhao. Who is bothering me to rest? I saw the voice of Puni coming out of Huo Yuhao's mouth. Not bad. Puni was originally resting in Huo Yuhao's spiritual sea, but suddenly felt a dangerous aura. Seeing that Huo Yuhao could not resist, he immediately took over control of Huo Yuhao's body. Martial soul true body. No, it's not right. This is not martial soul true body, dare to deceive me. Ma Xiaotao immediately launched a soul technique to attack Huo Yuhao after realizing that it was not martial soul true body. Huo Yuhao, see clearly, this is the true power of my elemental seal. Huo Yuhao watched helplessly in the sea of spirit as Puni stripped off Ma Xiaotao's phoenix flame. This was really too strong. It seems that he needs to practice harder. This is not even a small difference. All the dust settled, and Ma Xiaotao lost the amplification of the phoenix flame and immediately fell into the lake. Huo Yuhao, quickly elevate your cultivation to the 5 rings, and then you can strip away others' elemental power for your own use. As for her fire element, I will seal it first. When Huo Yuhao regained control of his body, he couldn't help but sigh, too strong, Puni is really too strong. Huo Yuhao jumped into the lake with a sigh and picked up Ma Xiaotao. He waited until dawn to see her about to wake up before slipping away to class. Chapter 8. Entering the Sea God Pavilion for the first time. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Huo Yuhao was taken away after half of the morning class, and the person who came was Kai Meyer. Who would have thought that a first-year freshman in the district would bother the dean to come and find him in person, which also made everyone's speculation increasingly biased. Teacher Kai Meyer, don't know where we're going. Walking on the road, Huo Yuhao looked at the usually quiet dean and finally couldn't help but take the initiative to speak. Go to the inner courtyard. Okay, Huo Yuhao naturally knew what Kai Meyer was looking for him for, so he didn't ask much, just obediently followed along the way. Huo Yuhao has been here before, so this life is not too strange. When he first arrived in front of the Sea God Pavilion, the strong aura of light awakened Puni. What a strong aura of light! Puni, I don't know if this can help you evolve Sorensen, Huo Yuhao immediately asked him when he heard Puni's voice. He knows how strong the power of this golden tree is, and the bright elemental power inside is also unique to the entire Douluo Continent. Not enough, although the power of this golden tree is strong, if you want to evolve Sorensen, you probably need everything. Puni knew the importance of this thing, so he wouldn't be selfish enough to use everything for Sorensen's sake. Well, that's okay. Let's look for it again in the future. There should be other things to replace it. The two of them entered the Sea God Pavilion, but Huo Yuhao did not expect to enter the Sea God Pavilion so early in his life. Huo Yuhao. I'm going to kill you. Where did you go with my phoenix flame? As soon as I entered the Sea God Pavilion, I saw Ma Xiaotao rushing over, as if he was about to eat him. Xiaotao, this is the Sea God Pavilion. No nonsense is allowed. Xuanzi scolded and called out to Ma Xiaotao. Ma Xiaotao turned her head and stood aside with a cold snort. Since everyone is here, let's start. Xuanzi, you're presiding over the meeting. Yes, Mu Lao. It was Mu En, the owner of the Sea God Pavilion, who was speaking. Huo Yuhao pretended to be surprised and glanced at him, recalling the various teachings of his previous teacher. Huo Yuhao's eyes turned sour and he suddenly felt like crying. Huo Yuhao, this is the Sea God Pavilion. Normally, neither you nor Xiaotao can enter here, but this time we have made an exception and opened it because we, the old guys, have many questions to ask you. Xian Lao, feel free to ask if you have anything. Huo Yuhao dared not act now. You should know that everyone present is really big shots from the college, so it's better to be obedient and obedient. Okay, the first thing is that I hope you can return Little Peach's phoenix flame to her. Okay, Huo Yuhao said as he drove his soul power with alcohol and returned a phoenix flame to Ma Xiaotao. Ma Xiaotao instantly felt like he had transformed back into the previous flame maniac. After all, she went out because this was not where she should be, and it was already a great honor for her to enter once. Okay, there are a few other questions that our old folks would like to know. Xian Lao, feel free to ask. Can you tell us what your 3 soul skills are and where your 3rd soul ring comes from? After observing for so many days, Xian Lao and Yan Xiaoya always felt like they were missing something, and it was also because Huo Yuhao's ability was too incredible. My 1st soul skill is Nihility, which is a very ordinary life-saving soul skill similar to the ancestor of Xiaowu. Normally, it is immune to all physical attacks. Is that all? It's gone. Is there no time limit? No, and my soul skill doesn't consume much soul power. Hiss. All the elderly residents present took a cold breath. You should know that Xiaowu ancestors' void soul technique only lasts for 8 seconds to survive. It's against heaven, it's 2 against heaven. So. Where's your 2nd soul skill? Xian Lao felt like he was getting old. Is the young man now so powerful? My 2nd soul skill is called Elements. As the name suggests, it means that I can control all elements, strip or increase them. I have absolute control at the same level, and I can only weaken those higher than me. From Huo Yuhao's statement that he can control all elements, all the senior residents can no longer sit still. As for my 3rd soul skill, its function is very ordinary, which is to absorb the opponent's soul power and spiritual power to increase our own use. However, my current cultivation is not enough, and I can only be at the same level. Huo Yuhao looked at everyone without any movement and could only speak on his own. Monsters are simply monsters, everyone thinks of them in their hearts. Huo Yuhao, according to my investigation, you only broke through to level 30 in just 3 months after arriving at the academy. During this period, you haven't gone out to hunt soul beasts. So where did you get this 3rd soul ring? Also, why did your cultivation level improve so quickly? Tell me honestly. In fact, they had never suspected that Huo Yuhao was a soul beast retraining, because only a soul beast would have the opportunity to retrain after 100,000 years. However, when they heard from their classmates in the academy that Huo Yuhao had improved his soul power by about 10 levels in just 3 months, they were shocked. Later, they inquired and found out that Huo Yuhao's 3rd soul ring appeared out of thin air, and he had never been outside to hunt soul beasts. Huo Yuhao knew he couldn't keep it hidden, and he didn't dare to hide it in front of the experts at Shrek College. He could only answer honestly. Xian Lao, everyone, my 3rd soul ring is brought by my martial soul itself. To be honest, my martial soul can provide me with 7 soul rings, and my martial soul, like the 7 treasures glass pagoda, can only accommodate 7 soul rings. As for my rapid cultivation, it is also due to the strength of my martial soul. A bunch of nonsense. I've lived for 100 years at best, and I've never heard of such a martial soul before. From my perspective, you're just a soul beast being reformed. Xian Lao, really, I didn't lie to you. Stop talking nonsense, let me give you a try. As Xian Lao spoke, he released his soul power to control Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao knew he couldn't talk, so it was better for him to give it a try, so as not to be doubted again in the future. Originally, Xian Lao thought that Huo Yuhao was really a reformed person, even forcing out his martial soul. He saw half a pony's phantom behind Huo Yuhao, but after trying for a while, there was no response or change. Hey! It's strange, isn't it really the soul beast that's been resurrected? Helpless, Xian Lao had to withdraw his hand. Xian Lao, I've already told you that I'm not a soul beast that needs to be repaired, don't you believe me? Look, I feel aggrieved. Humph. It's fortunate that you're not a soul beast cultivator, stinky kid. Otherwise, you wouldn't be right about me and you, Dean Yen. I thought I had misjudged you. Hee, Xian Lao, this shows that I have exceptional talent. You wouldn't underestimate such an excellent person. Huo Yuhao looked at Xian Lao with a flattering expression on his face and said that he was actually worried that Xian Lao would discover the existence of Puni, as well as the color of the soul ring. He was very worried that he could not control himself to become his true color. But just now Puni said that unless he thinks, no one can know the true color of his soul ring. Chapter 9. Robbing People. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yuhao, since you are not a good soul beast cultivator, we can rest assured. After discussing with all the elders, it may be a bit of a waste of time to cultivate your talents and abilities in the external courtyard in the past few years. Would you be willing to be my disciple? I will personally teach you how to use your soul power to increase speed. In no more than 5 years, I can elevate you to the 7th ring. Yan Xiaoya, who had never spoken, finally spoke up. He had been trying to reduce his sense of existence since Huo Yuhao came in. He had been slandered by Huo Yuhao before, and he was indeed injured. It was thanks to the teacher's help to clear the Holy Spirit fire that belonged exclusively to Huo Yuhao inside, otherwise his martial soul would really be damaged. Later on, he didn't go to the external hospital because it was too embarrassing. A titled Douluo was actually injured by a 3rd ring soul lord and came back to ask the teacher for help with treatment. Now he heard that Huo Yuhao is not a soul beast cultivator, so naturally he wants to keep such talents around to teach. Xiaoya, look at my age, I don't have a disciple yet. You already have Xiaotao as your legitimate disciple, so let Huo Yuhao give it to me. Yan Xiaoya was shocked. He didn't expect that Xian Lao would compete with him for disciples now. If others were to give way, it might be Huo Yuhao. Xian Lao, Huo Yuhao's martial soul has a bright attribute, and my martial soul is also a bright phoenix, so naturally I teach better. The two of them started to argue without a smile, sharing their respective strengths. It was really rare to see each other. Don't argue anymore. A pleasant and clear voice sounded from the front seat, and it was Mu Lao who spoke. Upon hearing Mu Lao's words, the two of them adjusted their posture and slowly sat down. When it comes to teaching Huo Yuhao, in my opinion, neither of you is suitable. But Mr. Mu. Hey, there will be some disciples, but it's not Yuhao. So are you, Xiaoya. Just teach Xiaotao well. Huo Yuhao, my martial soul is the bright holy dragon. In my opinion, teaching you is the most suitable. I am also old, and I only have 2 disciples, Liner and Xiaoya, in this life. Would you be willing to be my close-door disciple? Students are willing, teacher. Huo Yuhao and others immediately knelt down to pay their respects, and finally, they could become disciples of the teacher again. In this life, we must not let the tragedy of the previous life happen again. Good child, get up now. Yes, teacher. After Huo Yuhao stood up, everyone present, except for Mu Lao, was still in a state of wondering. With a look of where this was and what had happened, who could have imagined that Mu Lao had been galloping in the Douluo Continent for more than 200 years, but in his old age, he wanted to recruit a closed-door disciple and spread it out, which would probably shock the soul-shaking master realm. Since Mu Lao has spoken, no one has any objections. After all, Mu Lao's words must have his reasons. Yuhao, from now on, you can come to the inner courtyard 1 day a week to study at the Xiaoya system. The rest of the time, I will basically lie down under the dormitory building and I will teach you. Yes, teacher. Huo Yuhao was almost overjoyed. Fortunately, the teacher was downstairs in his dormitory, making it convenient to learn from him. He could also receive the personal guidance of Dean Yan, which could be considered satisfying for him. As for Mr. Xian and others, if they have time in the future, let's recommend Xiao to him. When Huo Yuhao came out to return to the outer courtyard after the meeting, he had just walked to the lake and was about to leave when he saw Ma Xiaotao waiting there. Senior, what's up? Huo Yuhao could see that Ma Xiaotao was deliberately waiting for him and could only pretend to ask. Huo Yuhao, yesterday was my fault. I couldn't help but come to you for a fight. Don't take it to heart, Ma Xiaotao said casually. Ha, senior sister, how could I possibly take it to heart? I didn't feel any killing intent in your attack yesterday, so it's okay. Huo Yuhao really wanted to laugh at Ma Xiaotao's appearance. It's rare that Ma Xiaotao, with her heroic demeanor, would be so submissive. Humph, I'll come find you again when I have the chance. Don't use your second soul skill when you have the ability, let's fight alone. Okay, then I'll practice well in the outer courtyard and wait for my senior sister. Oh my, don't just keep talking about senior students, how many students are there? Call me, Little Peach Sister. Ah. Oh, Miss Peach. Alright, let me take you across the lake. Thank you, Miss Peach. In this way, Huo Yuhao was sent to the opposite side of the lake by Ma Xiaotao. In fact, Huo Yuhao originally intended to refuse, but now he needs to establish a good relationship with Xiaotao. The reason why Ma Xiaotao took the initiative to send him off was because he found that the evil fire in the phoenix flame had been suppressed very well this time. She guessed that this was done by Huo Yuhao, a little guy, so she could practice with peace of mind for a period of time without worrying about the backlash of the evil fire. In fact, it was all thanks to Puni. After sucking away her phoenix flame that day, Puni discovered a scent of evil fire inside. Puni had to temporarily suppress it with a seal for a period of time. After returning to the outer courtyard, Huo Yuhao continued to practice as usual. However, unlike usual, he often studied with Mu Lao and then set aside one day a week to go to the inner courtyard to learn from Yan Xiaoya. There was no change in anything else. Yuhao, I have already found the ground. Would you like to take a look? Just after class that day, Bebe came over and didn't expect him to be so fast. Alright, senior brother. It's just that there's nothing happening right now, so you can go and take a look. The two of them left Shrek College and arrived in a certain area of Shrek City, and it must be said that Bibi has a very good eye. This is quite good, senior brother. Let's just leave it here. When will we start construction, junior brother? Because Shrek Academy and Tangmen are somewhat separated, this piece of land is still specially approved for them to build Tangmen, but this construction is, find Elder Xian, senior brother. Xian. Xian Lao. Bebe suspected that he had heard wrong. What kind of person is Xian Lao, the second strongest of Shrek Academy, and how could he possibly agree to help them build the Tangmen? Yeah, Xuanlao's martial soul is the gluttonous divine cow, and he is the first earth attribute soul master. Without him, we won't be able to build it for a long time. Originally, Huo Yuhao didn't want to trouble Xianlao, but this land is even larger than the Tangmen base in his previous life. Will Mr. Xian agree? Don't worry, senior brother. Let me handle it. We can start work soon. Bebe always believed in this little junior brother. He said it was okay, and it seems that there is hope for the revival of Tangmen. Xiaoya's burden can also be relieved. The two of them looked around again and then returned to the college. After Huo Yuhao returned to the dormitory, he immediately drew many blueprints for the construction of Tangmen according to his own ideas, and it was not completed until it was almost dark. The next day was when Huo Yuhao went to study with Yan Xiaoya. With a smile on his face, Huo Yuhao stuffed things into the bright moon at 24 bridges and then set off for the inner courtyard. Chapter 10. The Duel Between Masters. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yuhao, Xiaoya accompanied a few disciples in the inner courtyard to hunt soul beasts today. Let's have a fight with Xuanzi today. Mu Lao came out of the sea god pavilion, followed by Xuanzi, taking a sip of chicken legs and a sip of wine. Fight against Xian Lao. Exactly what I wanted. Originally, Huo Yuhao was worried that he wouldn't be able to see Xian Lao today. Huo Yuhao, you can attack whatever skills you have, don't worry about hurting me. Every time you come to the inner courtyard to study with Dean Yen, it's basically about practical combat. He teaches you more about a learning direction and allows you to figure it out on your own. Then, you apply your own insights to practical combat. After the battle, Mu will point out the problems of the two. Okay, Mr. Xian, I've offended you. Huo Yuhao immediately activated his martial soul and launched a strong attack. Although his soul skills may appear to be auxiliary on the surface, in reality, they are not. Puni's seals are ever-changing and can be used well to attack. Xian Lao already knew what Huo Yuhao's 3 soul skills were, so he didn't pay much attention to them. After all, his cultivation was not even inferior to him, so there was no need to worry about his martial soul earth attributes being stripped away. But at least our Huo Yuhao lived again. How could he not have thought of this? And this time, in order to seek help from Mr. Xian, we must put in some effort, otherwise it may be difficult. Not bad. As soon as Huo Yuhao came on the field, he handed over control of his body to Puni. With his strength, he probably won't lose in a short while, so let Puni barely exert some strength. If it weren't for his current lack of cultivation, Puni's true strength would have been suppressed. Originally, Huo Yuhao was worried that Puni might not be discovered by the teacher, but who knew that Puni would just say, no. Huo Yuhao can rest assured that although the teacher's current strength has reached the level of a demigod, the foundation of Puni's over 100,000 years is not to be underestimated. After being possessed by Puni, Huo Yuhao's overall aura changed, and Xian Lao didn't pay much attention. He only believed that this was the strength of Huo Yuhao's martial soul itself. After several rounds of competition, Huo Yuhao mobilized the power of elements to suppress Xian Lao by mobilizing the vegetation elements around the golden tree. However, Xian Lao was still Xian Lao after all. The power of the 98-level Super Douluo was not exaggerated, and in the face of absolute strength, it quickly overwhelmed Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao naturally wouldn't be afraid. For the first time, he used his clone to control the wood element and the previously saved fire element to attack Xian Lao. Xian Lao didn't take it seriously, so he still defended and only realized something was wrong when the attack arrived. The ultimate fire, the ultimate wood, good kid. Under the urgency of Xian Lao, he had to use his martial soul to defend himself. The confrontation ended, and Huo Yuhao and Xian Lao came to Mu Lao. I'm back, Xuanzi. You're being careless. You've even unleashed your true martial soul, Mu Lao, you don't know that my martial soul earth attribute is already suppressed by fire and wood elements, but how could you expect your precious disciple to keep a hand? Xian Lao is feeling depressed, it's too embarrassing. He used to mock Xiaoya when he was injured, but now he's fighting against a soul lord. Unexpectedly, he's forced to use his true martial soul, which is embarrassing. Yuhao, I didn't expect you to instantly increase the elemental power to the extreme. Your skill is quite abnormal, I can't believe how powerful you will be in the future. Xian Lao, my martial soul is like this. I stripped Xiaotao's phoenix flame before, and her phoenix flame was extremely domineering. I also kept some of it myself, which is why it can be transformed into the ultimate fire. If ordinary fire wants to be transformed, it may not be possible. As for the ultimate wood, it is because the life atmosphere here is too strong, so the transformation is relatively simple. So it turns out that today you have occupied the favorable time, location, and people. Good kid, I'll compete with you in the soul fighting field the next day. Haha, Yuhao, I'm afraid you have other things to attend to today. Mu Lao is truly Mu Lao, and Huo Yuhao can see clearly what his background and purpose are. Teacher-wise, this time when I come to find Xian, there is always something I need Xian's help with. Oh. Good kid, just come to me for help like this. Huh, Xian Lao, how could it be? Look at these, they are all from my filial piety to you. Huo Yuhao said as he took out his own grilled fish, grilled chicken, and other delicacies. Knowing that Xuan Lao's martial soul is gluttonous, coupled with his previous life experience, the things he makes must be more fragrant than Xuan Lao's chicken legs. You kid, if you have anything to do, just let me know. Why are you doing this? He said as he picked up the whole roasted chicken. Xian Lao, it's like this. You know I'm a disciple of the Tang sect, so I must revitalize the Tang sect. This time, I hope you can help us build the Tang sect. Building Tang Men is so easy to say. As long as you provide me with delicious food and drinks every day, I am an expert in this field. Tang Men was founded by the 3 ancestors of the Tang dynasty. Our college has a close relationship with Tang Men. If we want to revitalize it now, we naturally need to help. Xuanzi, please find a few people from the inner courtyard to take with you and try to build Tang Men as soon as possible. Yes, Mu Lao. It has to be said that dueling with experts is enjoyable. Although Huo Yuhao did not personally fight just now, he still learned some things from the confrontation between Puni and Xian Lao. Xuan Lao's work speed was very fast. The next day, he brought in Bebe, Tangya, and Huo Yuhao. After discussing the blueprint, they understood Huo Yuhao's composition. Xian Lao waved his hand and immediately went to the academy to find several soul masters with earth attribute elements. These few disciples who came were all disciples from the inner courtyard. They were taken away by Xian Lao with a wave of his hand while still attending class, and now they are still looking confused. You guys, listen carefully. The construction of Tang Men is very important. Later, I will lead the way in front and you will clean up the gravel in the back. Do you hear me? Yes, Xian Lao. It has to be said that Xian Lao is really powerful. He transformed into a martial soul and began to dig deep in less than a minute. The reason why Huo Yuhao wanted Xian Lao to dig so deep was because he planned to build an underground soul guidance laboratory like the Sun and Moon Empire, specifically to develop soul guidance tools. In the following days, Mr. Xian and some teachers from the college came to help build the Tang Men, while Huo Yuhao delivered meals to them on time every day. It must be said that Mr. Xian's appetite was really big, and Huo Yuhao still discussed with the college cafeteria to get so many ingredients, otherwise there wouldn't be enough to eat. With everyone's help, before the holiday, the Tang sect had already been basically built and had the appearance that a sect should have. The remaining task is for Huo Yuhao to entrust to Bebe and Tangya to take care of, as he also needs to go to the Soul Guidance Department to help.